Now that I talked about Sid Kagenou and the entire organization of Shadow Garden in general, I think it's only fair to give the individual members of Shadow Garden the character breakdown treatment they deserve. So I'll be going over each of the 7 original shadows that were personally recruited and rescued by Sid himself, starting with Alpha, and find out her story as well as some of her powers and abilities. As usual, this video will contain spoilers for our character, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and feel free to subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future. To start, who is Alpha? Well, before she met Sid Kagenou, she lived a relatively normal life in the country of elves, and during her childhood, she became acquainted with another elf girl who would eventually be known as the yet-to-be-named Beta. However, at the age of 10, Alpha was afflicted with demon possession because it was common among female elves that were descended from the hero Olivier. She was then exiled from her homeland and she was captured by a group of bandits. Her condition would worsen so much that it caused her body to become utterly unrecognizable and was now simply a rotting blob of flesh. But luckily, she would be discovered by a young psychopath by the name of Sid Kagenou after he dispatched the bandits that captured her. And due to her high magical powers, the young boy decided to perform various experiments on her until he eventually cured her demon possession by accident. She was then restored back to her original form, and wanting to repay Sid for saving her, she decided to offer her full loyalty to him, which he accepted. She would be given the name of Alpha and was told by Sid about the true nature of demon possession along with the existence of the Cult of Diablos. Although this was simply a narrative fabricated by Sid, Alpha believed everything that he said, and it actually did turn out to be completely true, but only Sid is still oblivious to the fact. That said, Alpha agreed to help fight the cult, and they formally created the secret organization Shadow Garden with Sid as the leader under the moniker of Shadow and have Alpha acting as the second in command. She would then be trained by Sid in swordsmanship and magic while learning various types of other skills as well. Also, over the course of 3 years, Alpha worked with Sid to find and rescue other descendants of the 3 heroes that were suffering from demon possession while also curing their afflictions and providing them with shelter. And the second person they managed to rescue was none other than the elf girl that Alpha met back in her homeland, who was now known as Beta. Later, Alpha continued rescuing other girls with Gamma and Delta joining afterwards, but when Delta joined, she actually challenged Alpha to battle because she wanted to replace her as the second in command. Now, although Delta was the second strongest in terms of destructive power, losing only to Sid, Alpha was still able to defeat Delta through a technique and skill, cementing her place as the second most powerful person within Shadow Garden. But continuing on, Alpha kept recruiting new members with the addition of Epsilon, Zeta, and finally Eta, and they would form the subgroup known as the Seven Shadows, the top executives of Shadow Garden with Alpha as the leader. So anyways, Alpha would also lead them in their first mission when Sid's sister Claire Kagenou was kidnapped by the cult. Alpha was responsible for the search, but thanks to Sid's reality-bending luck, they managed to easily locate the cult's hideout. Alpha then led the other members of Shadow Garden to attack the hideout, eliminating all the enemies before confronting Viscount Oba, the culprit behind the kidnapping. She fought and easily overwhelmed the Viscount, but he managed to barely escape thanks to the strength-enhancing drug known as the Tears of Diablos. However, Alpha did not give chase because she knew that the Viscount would soon be dispatched by a master, and with that, they managed to rescue Claire. After the mission, Alpha and the other girls would meet with Sid to inform him about their decision to leave his side so that they could expand their influence across the world to better combat the cult and rescue more victims of demon possession. However, their departure wasn't permanent because Alpha and the other girls still took turns on a rotation basis to serve their master, and after getting permission from him, they left to begin their expansion. Then over the course of just 2 years, thanks to the amazing leadership and commanding skills of Alpha along with help from the other girls, Shadow Garden was now a formidable organization with almost 600 active members, even diversifying their operations into various sectors. And even though Alpha was considered to be the second in command, she was effectively the true leader of Shadow Garden because she actually did all the work, like managing the organization and leading their forces, whereas Sid often has no idea what is going on and only helps in his shadow persona whenever there's fighting. Also, Alpha is definitely more driven to make sure Shadow Garden was successful because of her motivation to take revenge against the cult who was indirectly responsible for all her suffering. But regardless, by the time their master Sid enrolled at the Midgar Royal Spellsword Academy, Alpha along with the other members managed to grow their organization to a level that can finally compete with the influence of the cult. Now, when Princess Alexia Midgar was kidnapped by the cult and had framed their master, Alpha deployed Shadow Garden to destroy the various hideouts of the cult across the Midgar Kingdom and rescue the princess. During the mission, she was mainly responsible for overseeing the operation, but she did intervene when Milia, the experimental daughter of Viscount Oba, was rampaging across the city. Alpha was able to easily defeat Milia with Magic Download, a powerful dive attack that can be activated when she charges magic into a slime sword to release a devastating blast, and this is likely based on Sid's I Am Atomic since the principle seems to be somewhat similar albeit less powerful. This was a good example of how powerful Alpha actually is, because even Iris Midgar, who was considered to be the strongest in the Midgar kingdom, had a hard time dealing with Milia. Also, Alpha had the ability Quick Flash taught to her by a master, which allows her to use magic to move almost instantly to any place within her reach in less than 1 second. Having said that, the mission was a success and they were able to reveal the existence of the cult to the world, but because they also exposed Shadow Garden, the cult started to impersonate their members to attack random civilians. However, because Alpha was busy investigating the activities of the cult in the Holy Land on Limworm, she left the issue to Gamma, and that's why she was also absent during the terrorist attack on the Midgar Royal Spellsword Academy. And when the terrorist attack was dealt with, Alpha would send a letter to a master asking him to visit Limworm, likely needing his backup to deal with the cult. So in the Holy Land of Limworm, Alpha managed to infiltrate the Grand Cathedral where she would examine the murder of Archbishop Drake, but she soon left because the main objective was to discover the truth about the hero Olivia and the mysterious sanctuary. On a side note, Alpha was actually considered to be a master of stealth and infiltration thanks to Sid's training, being able to completely hide her presence from almost anyone except for Sid and probably Delta as well, since she has the heightened senses of a beastkin. That said, when the trial of the goddess started, Alpha along with Delta, Epsilon and the other members had infiltrated the area, waiting for the opportunity to open the gate into the sanctuary. However, when Shadow defeated the Wish of Calamity Aurora, the gate finally appeared, so Alpha and her team entered into the sanctuary, taking Archbishop Nelson along, but Princess Alexia and Rose Orana had unexpectedly joined them as well. Now inside the sanctuary, Alpha revealed that she's a descendant of the hero Olivia along with the truth behind Olivia's history and the ultimate goal of the cult. However, Nelson soon activated the sanctuary's defenses, which separated Alpha and Delta from the rest of the members, but they both easily defeated Nelson, removing the defense system. Alpha and Delta then regrouped with the other members and left the sanctuary because they completed gathering all the information needed. So following the destruction of the sanctuary by the master, Epsilon presented the findings of the sanctuary to Alpha and concluded that the Wish of Calamity Aurora was indeed the true identity of the demon Diablos. Now moving on to the God of War tournament, Alpha was mostly absent throughout, although it was revealed that she might possibly be the niece of Beatrix, the Goddess of War. Also, when Rose murdered her father and escaped from the God of War tournament, Alpha approached her, offering the fugitive princess the opportunity to join Shadow Garden so that she could rescue the Oriana Kingdom. When Rose accepted the offer, Alpha brought her to the hidden base of Shadow Garden, Alexandria, the former capital of the Midgar Kingdom, and left the princess to the instructor Lambda for training before departing to continue her work. Also, I wanted to mention that although Alpha wasn't involved with the events that transpired during Sid's travel to the lawless town, she did benefit from the information the Beta managed to gather from it. Because thanks to Alpha's intellect, her high levels of magical power, and her deep understanding of magic, she was able to study the Red Mist, one of the techniques used by the Vampire Queen Elizabeth, and eventually mastering this technique for her own use. So when she activates this technique, she can switch between her physical and her Red Mist form, allowing her to become partially immune to most types of attacks. Also in her Red Mist form, she could sense all forms of incoming attacks and even read the movements of her opponents, making this a well-rounded ability that provides excellent defense and offense. Although this technique can be stopped by creating a powerful magic wind attack to blow away all the mist, and if Alpha doesn't materialize back to her physical form in time, she will literally be scattered to the wind. She actually used this against John Smith during the Great Trade Alliance conflict, which I'll talk about next. Now then, regarding this conflict, this happened because the Mitsugoshi Company, a front created by Gamma, had become too powerful in the market, so a rival company known as the Major Corporate Alliance wanted to eliminate them. So Alpha would work with the other members to battle the MCA, but unbeknownst to them, behind the scenes, Sid started working with Yukime of the Snow Fox Corporation to destroy the market as John Smith. And when the conflict continued to escalate, Sid secretly worked to circulate a large amount of counterfeit bills into the economy. Alpha and Gamma realized the severity of this, so they sent out the numbers to locate the source and stop the circulation of the counterfeit bills, but they were easily defeated by John Smith. Alpha would then send Delta to handle John Smith as well, but when she failed to return, she and the others assumed that Delta has been eliminated by the mysterious man. So Alpha decided to confront this mysterious man herself, and she soon found out about the true identity of John Smith. She became deeply saddened and enraged by her master's betrayal, so she lashed out demanding answers. And wanting to prove her usefulness and show him how strong she has become, she activated her Red Mist technique that managed to surprise even Sid. For a moment, she was able to somewhat pressure him and even dealing some amount of damage to him. However, her technique was eventually stopped by Sid, but he did acknowledge and commend her newfound strength before knocking her out. After the confrontation, Alpha became heavily depressed, and as the counterfeit situation worsened, she believed that her master has completely abandoned them along with Shadow Garden. Luckily, Beta soon brought a decrypted message that was previously given by Sid detailing his true intentions, and with a renewed sense of relief, Alpha departed with Shadow Garden to retrieve the funds that he collected. And because of this, they were able to weather through the financial crisis, and the Mitsugoshi Company became stronger than ever, and they even reunited with Delta. After retrieving the funds, Alpha returned to meet with Yukime and revealing the connection that Shadow has with the Mitsugoshi company, and everything that has happened was all according to his plan, oblivious to the fact that his plan actually backfired. But in any case, Alpha and Yukime both agreed to work together in order to expand the businesses of the Snow Fox Corporation and the Mitsugoshi company, while also working to destroy the Cult of Diablos. So that was basically the events regarding the Great Trade Alliance conflict, and later during the Black Rose incident in the Oriana Kingdom involving Shadow Garden, Rose Oriana and the Cult, Alpha was mostly absent. However, when Alpha learned that Shadow and Beta were sucked into the Black Rose and disappeared, she immediately rushed over to the Oriana Kingdom to take charge of the damage control operations. Now, when Sid and Beta were over in Japan, Alpha wasn't really worried because she knew that they would eventually return, and she was correct. They did return afterwards. She did, however, question Beta about their adventure in Japan and also the other girl that Beta kidnapped. She also ordered Beta to take responsibility for the girl, fearing what Etta might do if she got her hands on the girl. Having said that, I just love Alpha's character, especially seeing her interactions with Sid and the other girls. You can tell that although their character dynamics are different, their relationship feels genuine and close. I can't wait to see more of her in the upcoming volumes, and hopefully we'll get more information for not just Alpha but the other girls as well. And is Alpha the best girl for you, or you're a fan of the other girls of Shadow Garden? But yeah, that was basically all the information on Alpha's story as well as her powers and abilities. Hopefully I managed to cover everything. And what do you think of Alpha's character overall? Feel free to share your thoughts about her down below. And Sid is definitely lucky to have her as a close friend and help run basically everything at Shadow Garden. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button as well, it really helps. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe everyone.